solo artists, like rappers and singer-songwriters, they love talking about how awful it is that the label owns your masters. When I bring up that single ownership is a problem, suddenly rappers and solo recording artists start responding with, wait, we have to own our beats outright. Suddenly owning the masters to my beats are fine. What's going down? It's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. My name is DJ Pain One. I'm joined by Erinn Knight. I almost said Aaron Ritter. I'm trying so hard to channel Dame's energy here. Oh, my foot just got bitten. I knew this cat was going to be a problem during the podcast. So it's just us today. Dame is actually enjoying his honeymoon this week, which I think is great. You know, there were people commenting how dedicated he was for even considering doing the podcast last week in the middle of his vacation, but that's Dame for you. So
I want to talk about that. Actually, that's going to be my first subject.
Oh, we can jump right into it then if we
okay, but how are you doing though? No, I need to hear this.
Oh, I'm good. My studio is in disarray because I have a little cable biter running around terrorizing me, but hey, that's just going to teach me cable management. I need to get those. You know, when you go to those studios and you look behind the consoles and you see
the little wraps and everything's light. Yes.
And you just kind of look at the person like, you really did this?
You know, they have to be either hyper anal or like neurodivergent to where that's like doing that is peaceful. I think having it feels like peace to people like me and you, but we're not going to ever do any shit like that. So
exactly.
I feel like you have to be neurodivergent. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying like your brain has to be so unique that it's like the process of this is enjoyable to me, you know, because it's hell.
Yeah, I know when I interviewed, I think, it was Dylan Graham. He, his studio
was DG. That dude is a solid dude.
Well, his studio and cable management was solid as well. And I was like, damn, you did all that. And no, it was his girlfriend who did it. So sometimes we just need another person to come in and say, in my case, it's a cat that's encouraging me to do that because I'm kind of sick of the cables getting unplugged. Because while I'm in the middle of making a beat, suddenly my mouse will just fly out of my hand. Because she has literally catapulted herself onto the cable that's behind the console and just all her weight just.
Has she broken anything? Do you now have an excuse to be able to buy more equipment?
I don't want an excuse because none of my equipment isn't working. But no, she had. Well, if she breaks my 500 series box, that'll be the one thing that you can break. I don't think she will though. Anyway, so Dame's dedicated Dame. That's a way better form of alliteration than, you know, the other rhyme. You know, Dickie Dame was one, or Blame Dame. I like dedication Dame way more.
Yeah, dedicated Dame is tight. So I think that people don't understand how important consistency is, right? And not to say you shouldn't rest, like we're super grateful that Dame came and contributed, but this is just, I'm using him as the support system for this thought process. You have to be other to be consistent and persistent, especially when it's unenjoyable. You have to be a next level of dedicated or understanding or sold out or absolutely batshit crazy to continue when you have opposition and then when it's costing you. So it's one thing not to enjoy something. You already have to be like, well, I'm going to still commit to this even though I don't enjoy it. It's a whole nother thing when it's costing you on all different sides. Time with the people that you love, money, energy, effort, diverting your schedule. Do you know what I'm saying? And those are all things that all three of us in varying degrees have done to contribute just to this podcast, not even our careers. So it's nothing for me to hear Dame say, oh yeah, like I'm on my honeymoon, but I just set an hour aside to do this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's like the nature of the thing that we do, the three of us specifically. And I'm sure plenty of people who listen to this podcast. And I'm a champion of rest, especially because I feel like everything, your spirit, body, mind, soul is connected to how well you care for yourself, because how well you care for yourself is how you love yourself. So this is not me. I'm a reformed workaholic, so this isn't the workaholic side talking. This is the reformed side that's learning how to love and care for myself. You have to be so sold out to things that inconvenience to a degree is the norm. So I just don't understand when people are telling other people it costs too much while asking those same people to help them. You've already told me it costs too much. We had a comment on our page today, or not today, a couple of days ago when Dane posted the video where I'm talking about how to get your music, your tour dates up on Spotify, whatever. Also, I messed up. It's Songkick, not Bands in Town. I posted another video talking about that. But anyways, Dane posted that and somebody was like, whoa, this is good information. Why don't y'all release a 1 through 100 step-by-step process of how to start as a brand new artist and then get on all the way? So here's the thing. I know they weren't trolling because they complimented us. They were engaging with other posts. Like they literally are asking us for our more time and energy to practically help them do something that I know that even with the 1 through 100 step process, they're not willing to pay the cost, right? If we dropped that and said it was $100, they would say, why is it so expensive? You should make it free. You guys are already on. If it was free and we said, hey, did you check it out? They would say, oh, not yet. I'm going to get to it, whatever. It already costs too much. Because here's the thing, this podcast alone is that. If you go back, we're at 100, what is this, 162, 163? I was just looking at that the other day.
We're at 161 right now. It's a lot of game.
Crazy. Like I started with y'all, I think on episode 101 or 102, something crazy, which is super cool and monumental to me. To think that I almost have 100 weeks, or even just not even, I'm not going to round it up, to be at 60 weeks with y'all of consistency. That is a sacrifice. I may be becoming or getting a role at a school soon, a local charter school that's about to start in my area. They want to teach a class that's based on basically music entrepreneurship, right? Because I told them that they wanted it to be music education, but I said I want to teach it as entrepreneurship, whatever. It's a really cool opportunity. If we can get the schedules to align, it'll work. With them, I told them I am not willing to come in daily. I'm willing to come in weekly, but we have to set the schedule, right? So they are moving around me because they want me to be there, and I'm super grateful for it. I'm moving around them because I want to be there, right? That takes a level of dedication. I travel very often. For me to now commit to teaching weekly at a school, even if I'm out of town part of the week, I have to commit to being back in town for those days, right? So it's like my lifestyle is going to change because my purpose is dedicated to legacy. And if I can teach in a school and capture people before it's too late, or not even too late, capture people before they're too jaded. Maybe you can start right instead of just finish right? Because then there's multiple opportunities for finish. My whole point of this is when you care, you're consistent. And when you believe you're consistent, most people don't really believe in themselves. That's why they get upset with us when we make these audacious statements or when we make claims. If you do this, then this will happen. They say, no, well, this happened to me and this happened to my homeboy, or I've seen hundreds of people fail. No, because y'all didn't believe. I've been telling people my whole life I was going to be successful. I don't know how it was going to happen, but here we are, and it's not going to stop, right? Because I believed. I think that people think they believe, they think, and they do it for 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 months or even 2 or 3 years. What? And then you give up because you don't get the result that you want. So all I'm saying is Dane is getting the results that he wants because he's consistent. Like all of you people who think it's weird that he did set aside an hour on his honeymoon, one, they have a symbiotic relationship. I'm sure that she's okay with him taking an hour. One. Two, I think y'all are weird. I think you're weird to not understand the power of consistency. I'm saying there's 3 people in very different stages of life, all with very busy schedules, who have committed to doing 2 people who did 160 episodes, 3 people that did 60 additional episodes. And you just don't get it. And that's okay. I'm here to help you get it. Be consistent. Try anything, even for 90 days. Most people don't do things for 90 days. That's crazy, Pain. People don't do things for 90 days. People can't consistently do things for 90 days. I'm saying it's crazy while struggling to do it myself. I heard this, I was listening to Atomic Habits, and then I heard this stat that basically most people like get to 50, maybe on a good streak, maybe 50 days. A lot of people can't make it past 21 or 22 days, right? So I'm like, wow, if I can do anything for 90 days, that's not how you form a habit. People have different day theories. I don't think 90 days will form a habit, but I think 90 days will start to formulate results. My habits, I know personally, are formulated around results. When I start seeing results, my habits change. So I just got to commit for 90 days. I'm like 48 days into a 90-day challenge and questioning myself still daily. Do you know what I'm saying? So be consistent.
Well, and the thing that I see too is somebody, and this happens all the time in the music business, somebody will, maybe try something for a month and then quit for 6 months and then try it for another month, quit for 6 months. And they'll do that for maybe 5-6 years. And after those 6 years, they're like, damn, I've been doing this for 6 years. Nothing's working. No, you haven't. No, you have not.
Exactly.
And things like this happen all the time. And then these are the people that get disgruntled, go on the internet, say, the game is rigged, you got to pay to play. I mean, the comments, this kind of, I want to talk about this next week too, but just the comments I read from people making these assertions about how the music business works, and you look at them and you're like, you don't even have music out. What are you talking about? You're not coming from a place of experience or expertise. You're upset because you dropped the ball. And I've not ever had a conversation like this with somebody, a producer, a rapper, a manager, anyone who actually put in the work consistently and was just frustrated by seeing 0 results, because that's just not how anything works. The laws of the universe don't allow you to work consistently at something in the right way and not see progress. It's just, that's not how it works. So yeah, it's frustrating. And then, then the other thing too is like resisting impulses. What I don't understand, Erinn, and maybe you can shed some light on this. I mean, I guess people are messing up all the time. I think 9-to-5s and traditional jobs, the ones that everybody hates or professes to hate because they'd rather be making music, they're way more forgiving. You can, I don't know, maybe they're not. I feel like I'm seeing so many people, and I've seen this throughout my life, and it used to hurt me so much because I'm like, I thought we were connected, to all the people that I used to collaborate with, I was in groups with, we had goals with, we were supposed to get, famous and create classic timeless music together. And they just chose other stuff. Like, nah, I'd rather prioritize, having a kid when I'm not actually prepared to have a kid. Like, all right, that's your choice. That's kind of like not that a kid is a death sentence for your music business, but for someone who's already inconsistent, it certainly is going to be an excuse.
I would say it's a good excuse, because if you're dead set on it, you're going to turn up at this point. I've seen it too many times. Mm-hmm. A kid gets involved and people get more. So yeah, whatever.
Well, but those are the people, like, if either of us had a kid, that's what it would be. And I know people who are the same way. They're just so dedicated that, it's like, okay, now I have a kid, I got to get way more serious. Other people are like, I got a kid, I got to just fall back on everything that isn't music, and now I have an excuse.
Kids and money are magnifiers. If you get a kid or more kids, it's going to magnify whatever you're putting your energy into. If you get more money, it's going to magnify whatever energy you're putting. You know what I'm saying? It's a magnifier.
It should, but as we know, a lot of people just run from that.
No, but I'm saying if it doesn't push you more towards the thing that you say you're focused on, that's not really what you're focused on. Like, it's going to magnify so if you get more insecure, or if you're like, I got to go get another job or whatever, that's what you're focused on. So that's what you're going to go to.
Yeah. But I look at, the majority of the conversations about the music business happening, online, of course, but sometimes in person. And it's a lot of people that fall under that category making these assertions. And I don't know what to tell people. I really don't. But yeah, why is it that it feels to me that I knew a lot of people that I just don't understand people. And I used to try, I kind of don't, but now I'm trying again because I'm asking you this question. But I all of my former collaborators that just couldn't stick to something, and it was all day. I just want to make music forever. That's what we were always talking about. We just want to do this. We want to get big. We had competitive spirits, especially when you're just starting out and you're younger. You want to be the best at everything. You want to take down everybody around you, in a friendly, competitive sort of way, but you're hungry. You know what I mean? And we were like that. And then slowly but surely, I'm looking around me and I'm seeing that everybody else is super dedicated. It's like, oh, I can't do this tonight. I got to work tomorrow. My job. How do you feel about your job? Oh, I hate my job. How do you feel about music? I love music. I would die for music. Okay, so let's work. No, I got this job. Why are you able to be so consistent with this thing that you claim you hate, but this thing that you claim you love, for the last 5 years, you've been pushing aside? It didn't make any sense. And I remember I used to personalize it because for me, I was on this very strict journey and it started getting lonelier and lonelier. Like, the more success I was finding, the lonelier I got because I couldn't really talk to people about it. If I talked to people about the stuff I was going through, signing my first contract, I'm like, oh, the deal points are confusing me. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about because they're not there with me and they don't want to be there with me. They're more like, oh, well, man, this bitch last night, oh my God, or like, this job, I'm so sick of my job. It's like, okay, fine. But I thought when I was on this new path and I could share it with you that you would come with me because we love music, or you claim you love music, you claim you want this. So I would always personalize it and be like, oh, these aren't my real friends. And it's like, maybe they're not. And I did need to decide if I wanted friends in my life that were inconsistent and weren't honest with themselves. But on a bigger level, when it comes to, people constantly saying, you shouldn't get paid for your work. You should invest in people around you. You should invest in these artists. Hell no, because that's what I did for the first 15 years of my career. And I understand humans enough to understand that you can invest in a person and they can look you dead in the eye 1,000,000 times with a tear coming out of the corners of each eye saying, I love music more than anything. I'd die for music. And they'll turn around and choose literally anything on the planet but working on music, especially when it gets hard. But even when it's easy, even when it's a easy day, it's like, I'd rather just go out, chill, drink, smoke, whatever. I'm not going to make music today. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll push it tomorrow. They don't do that with a 9 to 5. They don't do that with, the prospect of having sex with somebody. They don't do that with anything. But somehow music, this thing that they love, that they would die for, that's the greatest thing in the world. That's God's gift. They will relegate to this less important part of their schedule. So if you understand it, cool, because I sure don't.
I feel like I resonate so heavily with what you're saying because I'm walking through this, like the loneliness this weekend. Like, I just had a session with my therapist yesterday, and I think people don't understand that when you in your head see yourself elevating with other people and those other people don't come, the win is not nearly as sweet. And you think, so people right now are really congratulating me. And it's like, I don't really have anybody to talk to about the emotional strain of going to a new level and learning that new level, but also the joy that comes with that. Because like you said, you can't talk to people about it because either they don't understand, so you're incompatible. I don't think it's intentional that either of you aren't friends, but it's just you're not on the same plane anymore or like wavelength, so you're incompatible, which I think is okay. But that happens when you don't keep moving in the same direction. Not to say one is better or worse, but it's just not the same direction. So, because that could be a journey that could take them somewhere else where they realize a lot of other things in their life later in life, and maybe they set their kid up and their kid is, do you know what I'm saying? So like, I think it all still works out. So this isn't like shitting on people who get out of the music industry. I think that we all have a journey that's instrumental in the next generation and what's to come of this world. Anyways, I think that it's a hard journey to have that. And then it's like, I don't know who to talk to about this. I would love to talk to a friend about this and not a lawyer or a business person with whatever. So I get that on a personal level. And also the point where people are like literally, yeah, like my family members are starting to hit me up, right? More to like do music stuff, or they know somebody who does music stuff. It's starting to get to that point because I'm posting a lot more about what I do, and then I'm having a lot more wins. That's just the season I'm in life. And my mom was like, well, what if, I was like telling my mom how annoyed I was with it. And she wasn't getting it at first. And she was like, well, what if they're just incredibly talented even after you listen to them? Are you going to take a shot of them? I said, absolutely not. I said, I can make anything go at this point, right? Like I believe that I'm going to figure it out if I believe in it. If you're talented, that's all you're bringing. But I know that if you have a business side, even if I'm not there, my team can make it go, or other people, you know, the recipe is there. I said, you have to have a proof of concept. You have to be profitable, and there has to be something that I can bank on. But because talent, I can always win with somebody who already has a business model. Talent is hit or miss, you know, even with me, even though I think I can make anything go. And I was explaining that to her, and it's just like, so many people don't have this understanding that they don't have any value because they've never been consistent long enough to evaluate other things, right? That's going back to the whole point of this. You are way more self-aware when you get out into the industry and understand what the industry standard is. That's why I think it's bullshit when people who have been just sitting in the office for the last 20 years are like, well, the industry standard is this. It's like, no. I'm creating the new industry standards. I'm out in the real world. I'm talking to people. I'm with other managers. I'm with the movers and shakers. I know what's going on, and I'm moving and shaking shit, you know? And so I think that when you are consistent, you're around people enough to elevate and say, oh, this is what people want. This is how it's this is what's going on in the real world. Let me borrow this. Let me take this. Let me learn this. Let me massage this. Let me hang around this and glean this. You know, people just aren't listening and learning enough, but you don't think you have to listen and learn because you do one thing and then you sit on the internet and you absorb whatever's convenient to you, and you start liking and clicking on things. So then your internet stream becomes jaded artists who said nobody loved them and they don't get it. I don't even see that shit until I'm on the MEC page. My feed is nothing but hustlers and people who made it, and people who are talking about progressive new ideas, and people who are honest with their failures, and people who are talking through how their emotional health has grown as they decided to care for them. That's what my feed is. So like when people are like, I can't believe y'all, or you did, or you should, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This shit is crazy to me. Are you being serious? Have you ever been outside long enough to understand how asinine it seems for what you're asking me to do right now for you? Like, come outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, give something before you ask for something. This junk is weird to me, but I'm not trying to bash y'all. I want to encourage y'all. I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like people see what we're doing and they just feel like it's easy, or it was only hard for a little bit. So now I have the audacity to ask you for it. Yeah. Do you know my life is hard every day? Yeah. The more I win, the harder my life gets. I spend exorbitantly more on therapy than I do on anything that I pay. Do you know how much I pay like an hour?
Therapy's it's like it was like $300 a session for me, so it was a lot.
And I usually do double sessions together, and I go weekly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you feel what I'm saying? I have to though, because my life I have an executive coach that I used to go to. I just had to hit him back up. Like, I need you in my ear. I have to pay for guidance now. Most people have our voice, you know what I'm saying, for free. They may have a homie down the street. They can go to panels. There's not panels solving the problems that we're dealing with right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're leading the music industry to a degree. We're in the same class of leaders right now. So we're all trying to figure it out. So for us, this is where we're learning. We're sitting together. That's what we're doing, talking this shit out. And I just feel like people just don't understand that. So I just get frustrated. Again, I'm not trying to bash y'all. I just get frustrated with people who have the audacity to ask me for things as if I owe them something when I'm really just trying to get myself on. Like, I need some sort of equity in my own journey, right? Like, I feel like I give everybody everything. I need some sort of wins for myself. And people are constantly like, give me this thing. Like, you really don't know me. Show some love over here. Come over, join the Excellence Academy, donate to the therapy fund, come to one of my panels. Do you know what I'm saying? Book me to come speak. How about we be reciprocal before you ask for something? But whatever. This whole point was shout out to Dame for taking time for himself, but also shout out to Dame for being consistent.
Yeah, it's just so underrated when it shouldn't be, because we have decades of case studies that show consistency works. I mean, it's just, no one's going out there saying, be inconsistent, that's your best course of action. But when it comes to applying it, suddenly it's a problem.
Can I just say one thing about consistency too?
Yeah, of course.
I think that people think consistency means perfection. Pain and I will both tell you, we have fallen off the horse. We have, like, this TikTok joint, I'm sitting here like, I'm posting now every day for 90 days. After the 30 days didn't work, I hit day 42, I think, completely forget to post. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be, now I broke the streak. What am I going to do? Nope. 42 and a half, I posted, and then I posted again that night, right? Like, what? Now I'm batching more content. There's just no excuses. You mess up, get up, let's go. The excuse isn't, I'm not saying they can't be an excuse because, yes, you tripped, whatever. I'm just saying the excuse doesn't matter. It happened. Just go. You know what I'm saying? My little niece, she's 3, and when she just turned 4, and whenever she spills something or whatever, she's just like, it happens. It's okay. I'm going to clean it up. And her parents have equipped her with that language so that she doesn't feel shame for being a kid. You spill shit, go clean it up. So this is what they did. They're not going to coddle her because she spills a lot of stuff and she doesn't listen. They're like, here are the towels. If you spill something, it's okay, but you need to clean it up. You don't even have to come tell us until after you clean it up, right? So empower yourself. Be consistent. When you mess up, it's okay, but you don't have an excuse. There's no more excuse. Just go do the thing again next. Be consistent. You don't have to be perfect.
I love that story because I'm thinking, we're talking about the whole loneliness in the music business context thing, but when you start focusing on growth and accountability and you want those same kinds of people around you just in life, it becomes lonely then too, because again, a lot of us were raised to spill the juice and then hide it. We weren't raised to just go get it, clean it up. And so I love that, shout out to the parents teaching the kid all that, because in adulthood, I had this perception when I was a kid that adults were perfect and they knew everything because they had so many years of experience, because they were always yelling at kids. We were always doing something wrong. And it's like, damn, it must be amazing when you're an adult and you have life perfected. And then you're an adult and you're like, no one here is taking accountability. No one here is consistent.
They're yelling out of insecurity.
Yeah, that's deep. So let's let me transition to another problematic concept. This one is music related. So it's about single ownership, this idea of single ownership. And I think it's a problem for all musicians. If you were in a band, for example, let's just start there, and the lead singer of the band wanted to own the masters and publishing of all the band's music, you wouldn't like that because you're part of the band. You created that music too. You performed that music too. Why would somebody else own it all when they're not the only person who created it. So think about
that's super common though, right?
And it's trash. I didn't know that, but
that's like how the split, I started out in the rock world. That's how the splits typically go. It's almost like the front man is the band. The rest of the band is work for hire, but then they take pictures and everything like it's a band. So people buy into the band concept. That's how unfortunately Paramore, bands like My Chemical Romance, not Taking Back Sunday, just a bunch of. When I used to tour on Warped Tour scene, and when I found it out, I was so hurt because I'm like, damn, y'all are acting like y'all like these people. This shit is like these dudes are on tour doing meet and greets, and they're getting a day rate. They're getting like $125 a day, and like a 1% split after recoupment and payouts. You know what I'm saying? And then they're getting paid as session musicians. So it's trash, but I don't know if that's still the norm in rock music. I don't work in the rock scene as much anymore, but I know the same is in pop music. You know what I'm saying? Where it's or R&B, Beyonce will get 30% off the cuff of all the writers. And you're just willing to take a 30% dilution on your cut because you have a Beyonce record, which I get because she's created the brand. But because of people like that, smaller artists feel like that's a standard. I've encountered it more times than I would like to enjoy, but this shit is weak.
Okay, well, I hate that. So let's try a different example. All these conversations about the label, the label is like the common enemy. Everybody hates the label, right? And the labels own masters, and people, especially solo artists like rappers and singer-songwriters, they love talking about how awful it is that the label owns your masters. That's the whole sold my soul. I mean, for the people out there, with who can barely put their pants on correctly every morning, when an artist says I sold my soul, it becomes this other thing where they did a blood ritual. We know what it means. It means you sold all of your rights to your music and you feel connected to your music. Your soul is your music and you feel powerless over the destiny of your metaphorical soul here. That's what they're always talking about, and people are really into and I know sometimes it gets a little deeper than that because there are, and I experienced it firsthand where a label, and it was so stupid, a label signs us and then they're like, hey, why don't you change this? Or why don't you try this? It's like, nah, come on, man. That's not why you signed us. We're not doing that shit. So anyway, you hear a lot about ownership and how awful it is. You hear statements like, that's why they're called masters, because you're their slave. Really extreme statements about how the labels own you. They own your personhood. They own your soul. They own this and that. And it's terrible because they own your masters. And you hear about these legacy artists whose children can't profit from the music that you created, even though that music is still generating millions of dollars today. What an awful thing. Yeah, of course, you're going to look at the labels as these horrible creative enslavers. Because again, it's a single ownership scenario in these cases. The label owns it. And people love to talk about Michael Jackson. They love to talk about Prince. They love to talk about Taylor Swift. Well, Taylor Swift didn't get her masters back. They love to talk about Prince and Michael Jackson.
Prince kind of didn't either.
Well, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. He got some of them back, but they're always like, we got to do what he did. We got to do what he did. Why isn't everyone doing what Prince did? Okay, so I've established that, obviously there's this strong anger towards the concept of labels owning masters, right? So why is it when I bring up that single ownership is a problem, suddenly rappers and solo recording artists start responding with, wait, we have to own our beats outright. Suddenly owning the masters to my beats are fine. They'll say stuff like, if I'm paying for it, I should own it. Wait a minute, think about label deals.
Okay. I'm tracking with you. It's like artists believe that artists should own everything, but the artists don't believe that you as a producer are an owner. I agree with that. I feel like I feel that same way kind of on the business end, right? So if I give somebody a budget and they're like, well, can you just take a higher percentage? And I'm like, you can own the master, but I want the master money then, right? Like not in perpetuity, not forever, but that means you need to recoup several times, or I want a 50-50 split in perpetuity on all revenue. You can still own it, but I want to make ownership type money for the rest of the time, right? Or until we reach $100 million, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Then your kids can have it, or for 10 years, whatever, a reasonable statutory rate. Then they're like, well, why don't you just take a higher percentage until we recoup? And I'm like, how is this benefiting me? I'm giving you a short-term loan and I get a little percentage back, but you're getting the backing and the resources that you need to make this a massive project. So I get it's slightly different, but I feel like artists only understand ownership when it's selfish. Do you know what I'm saying?
Trust me, I was going to tie it into management and everything else.
Okay, yeah, it's like...
Because granted, like, I agree. So, and this is where Dame usually steps in. And then everyone says, here comes Dame defending the labels again. But look, if a label's giving you a couple $1 million, you can't just walk away with that and say, okay, you get nothing, thanks for the money, I'm a star. That's how it works. That's not how it works. So think about label deals or sync licenses, because rappers love saying, if I pay for the beat, I should own it. If a label paid you $100,000 for your catalog and made $10 million while your family slowly went bankrupt, which happens, or if a TV show paid you $1,500 to license your song for an episode, but they took ownership of your song and you could never profit from it again, you would not be cool with that. But they paid, right? They paid. They should own it, right? That's the philosophy we're going with. It doesn't add up. So what's my solution? Recoupment. If you lease a beat from me, say for $50, recoup the cost at a percentage proportional to my ownership of it. So say you're splitting the masters 50-50 with me, which you wouldn't be. That's really generous. I'm not expecting that. But say you are, you wouldn't pay me a cent until the song made $100. And then at that point, because it's, a 50% recoupment rate, you got to double it. So at that point, you're not coming out of pocket for anything because the beat paid for itself. How is that not fair? So I end the conversation with people there.
That's what we do with our producers. We give them 25% of the master. So like they get, and then we recoup off the cost. So they got to get paid for the beat, and then they get sync, everything we land. Our producers, like if we're not paying for the beats, that's how they love it. Cause It's like one time we landed a sync, the producer was going to charge $1,000 for the beat. The first sync we landed with the beat came like 8 months later after the song dropped, and he himself took home $6,250 just in that 8-month period. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't even the streaming royalties. You know what I'm saying?
And some of these things pay a lot. I mean, a lot of the syncs pay a lot. So even if you own, I did a record and I only own barely 13%. A sync came along, and with my little split, I'm making as much as the label paid for the advance. And it's all coming to me. So yes, that's fair. The label's making a lot of money, the featured artist is making a lot of money, and then everyone else is making less money, but enough money for me to be happy. So yeah, I mean, I think if you think making your money back and then allowing future royalties to be paid out to other people who created the song is unfair, then I just don't want to work with you, because that doesn't make sense. But I'll say this, I've sold my masters before. That's not the issue. This happens all the time. My issue is with single ownership and how it relates to systems like Content ID and DSPs and stuff. We talk about Content ID all the time. Again, if a recording artist says, I'm not trying to pay anyone anything after I bought this beat, you support single ownership. If something happens where suddenly the Content ID system takes down your entire catalog or takes down your music video, you're upset about that. But you were more than willing to do that to someone else. and producers do that. It's not just a rapper thing. I don't want to just act like I'm targeting them, because that's not the case at all. For, the majority, I think, of people in the music business who actually, I think the vast majority of people in the music business who are really in it don't feel this way. But the same way producers hate getting their beats stolen, but will turn around and say, I'm not paying for drum kits or sample packs. It's just these excuses that we give to justify our own greed, but we try so hard to mask our own greed. It's the same way people say, I would never sell my masters to a label, but if I buy a beat, I need master ownership. And you can't, when you get into a conversation with somebody that's trying to own your work, bringing that up, you're not going to, they hit a brick wall. You can't justify it.
Like, don't come in saying that, right? Unless you have the leverage, at least hear them out, right? Like, we just started working with a couple of new artists under the BYOD management side. And so with both of them, we already have labels, kind of hitting us. And I already know we don't want to sign any of these deals. Like, I can get budgets from a distributor in a heartbeat. Do you know what I'm saying? I can get a budget and own everything. So there's so few words, and there has to be such an astronomical amount of money and such an equitable split. And I know that we don't have that type of leverage. So I know we're not going to side with them, but we're taking every meeting. Yep. Fly us out to Nashville, fly us out to LA. Yeah. Cause as y'all talk, I'm learning, right? Artists though, they want to come out, they want to poke their chest out. You catch more bees with honey. Let them fly you out and catch a vibe and like you. And then when they send you the paperwork and your lawyer eats them alive, then they're like, damn, that's a savvy business person. I liked them. They seemed like they were intelligent. They have great lawyers. They respect it, right? Like, Def Jam can't say a bad thing about me. Right? They loved me at that office and probably still love me if all those people are still there, right? But we ate them alive on the contract. But you got it, like, but artists want to come, yeah, I'm not signing anything. I know my worth. It's like, don't be stupid. Your worth is in the context of, that goes back to the self-awareness. Your worth is in the context of what's being desired right now. If they think that, if you think that you're more desirable or worth more, go show that. Don't try to eat the label, but whatever. I could go on a tangent with this, but I just...
Well, no, if you were worth more, you wouldn't even be in that position. You'd just
correct.
Be over there making your money and then just kind of saying, that doesn't.
Or you have to wait. Like, I know my artists are worth more than the bullshit contracts that they're trying to offer them. We cannot prove that yet, but we will. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be right now, but if you know that you're worth this, then don't be desperate. You're giving people your power by being like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll take this bullshit money. And then you're setting the trend for people coming behind you. They think that that's the standard. Well, I got to take a shitty deal and then I'll get on and then I'll rescind the shitty deal and say that label shouldn't be. Just don't take the shitty deal. Like,
that's the other thing too, because I get contacted all the time by people saying, hey, I got this deal offer, or how do I get a deal, or what deal is the best, or can you explain this type of deal? And I'm like, you don't even have music out. You've never played a show in your life. Why are you talking about that? Because I think people really are stuck in 1997. And it's like, so much has changed. Look around. You are consuming every song that's ever been created damn near from your phone, from anywhere on the planet, for free. The game has changed. Why has your mentality stayed back in the whole, I need to rap on a street corner and get signed space? That's it kind of wasn't even really like that back then, let alone now in 2022. So what was it? Did you just watch movies from the 80s about the music business and that just resonated with you? I don't know.
They're not outside, so they're not self-aware.
Yeah, and like sometimes you got to be outside and then inside and then outside. It's It's like anything. You know, we're in the music business. This is our watering hole, right? Like, it probably there are going to be people that watch this podcast and are like, why are they complaining about feeling lonely in this? They're on. Like, one, we're on in the sense that we're, middle class. We're paying our bills with music. We do it every day, but we're working, all day, every day. Like, look at Dame. He's on his honeymoon. He's on here. He's not this week, but that he tried. It wasn't just because he wanted to miss and enjoy, his new marriage. I hate to say it, but it's because he just couldn't figure out the Wi-Fi situation. So he really is that dedicated. We're all the same way. We really love doing this and we live and breathe it. So this is just our career field. And this is like anyone else, like doctors who make a lot more money than we do. They have their watering holes where they discuss the stresses of their day. I'm not going to step into their space and be like, stop bitching. You guys make way more money, because I don't know what they're going through. So we all need support systems. And this is not only a podcast and an educational platform, but it's also, I'll be honest, a support system for myself, because I could come with my ideas and my stresses and bounce them off of you and Dame. And, sometimes you guys will be like, nah, you're looking at it the wrong way. And then sometimes you'll say, yeah, I relate to that. This is how I handle it. And it helps. And I think most of the people watching feel the same way. So having that support system and just really being in this business, it does get lonely, because you're not, like, even if you're in a space like in Atlanta, right, where that's just the epicenter for creativity now. You can walk for miles and not bump into anybody on the same journey as you, or in the same point of the journey as you. So yeah, you can, because they're all with the people that are like-minded, and it may be a very small community. It may be like a circle of 7 people. And then if you're in a market like me, oh my God, I got to rely on, like my one friend who's doing it, and then you and Dame and Dream Life, and just people that I know from the internet. And we talk and trade notes and exchange horror stories and celebrate each other's successes and mourn each other's failures and support each other when we need to.
You got unplugged.
Yeah, the cat muted my mic. She's learning how to shut me up. So I guess I'm going to end it at that if the cat wants me to shut up.
I think this is so necessary too, because when I was coming up and going to panels and they would give you instructions, they would say, okay, and do this and do this. And then, one day you may be up here. And I always knew I was going to be, but they don't talk about the heartache and the defeat, and I feel like you and I are probably the more emotional ones on this podcast. So it's easier for us to go into this, but I think it's super necessary for people to see people living in the reality of their dream, but still on the journey to be whole and happy in that, because I think that everybody's like, if I just get here, you have to choose to be content and grateful where you're at. So I know I'm speaking for both of us. We're so grateful and very content. There's more we want to do. There's dreams, there's ambitions, but like every day, I was even with my therapist yesterday, she was like, every time we talk, you have something based in gratitude. And I'm like, I have to, because I really am so grateful. I saw something and I'm living in it, right? That doesn't negate pain, suffering, tragedy, misunderstanding, all those things. We're creatives. So our pain points are very similar to the artists that you love. And I think sometimes on the business side, this is never addressed. It's just like, oh, the artists are hurting. We have to make space for them. But we deal with a ton of shit and we're on both sides. People don't realize we're on both sides. Like Dame is more obvious for you that you're on both sides, or Pain is more obvious for you that you're on both sides. But with me and Dame, people just see us as just the business people. And Dame has talked about it, like just being hurt by the whole situation and the way he was painted with Funk Volume and things like that. I experienced a ton of hurt in this, and I want to express these things. So one, y'all aren't thinking that we've arrived, or two, that you feel safe in processing how things make you feel, even in the good. Like right now, life is really good for me and there's loneliness in that. Cause it's like, if I talk to somebody who doesn't really know me, it almost sounds like bragging. And then if you talk to your friends, they kind of get tired of hearing about work, but then you just want to talk to somebody who's known you for a long time and how far you've come. And most of those people have kind of fallen by the wayside because they weren't consistent. So you're just stuck. And it's like, how do I celebrate where I'm at? And so, yeah, I think that this is necessary. I hope y'all resonate with it. If you don't, it was at least cathartic for us. But the industry is a unique game. And that's why I'm such an advocate for mental health, because in the times that you least expect it, especially as you continue to grow, that's when you're like, damn, like I'm not feeling like myself, or I wish this felt better or different, because it's what I've always dreamed of.
Yeah, and I think it's because the impulse is to want to share that happiness. We're no matter how antisocial I may say I am, I'm a human and humans are social beings. That's evolutionarily how we always have been. And, nowadays, not really. Like I live alone. A lot of people are living alone. A lot of people, even families, just become their own unit and they isolate themselves from other families. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. That's another conversation. But yeah, it does. A lot of people are out there isolated. And I think it's ironic because we're so connected with the internet and we can talk to anybody anywhere on the planet for free compared to how it was 20 years ago. But ironically, there's still a sense of social isolation. So I don't know where I was going with that or where I even came from that, but this is feeling like a therapy session. So shout out to that. And hopefully anyone watching is also feeling, listened to and maybe represented and validated by some of the stuff we're saying. Because if you're watching the podcast, you got to be on this journey. Otherwise, this shit is boring as hell for you. I swear this cat, I don't know what's going on with technology. I swear it's the cat. The cat is changing my settings. The cat the cat knows how to shut down my computer. The cat knows how to play on my DAW. The cat knows how to create markers on the grid in my DAW. It's eventually she'll just be running the whole podcast, which is fine. I'm trying to work smarter, not harder. We do, because I'm like I guess I'm the producer right now.
But I'm saying like one to produce segments and be like, this is how we, and then the creating really cool edits with us. That's let's teach the cat.
Yeah, I think I'll get a laptop, put Adobe Creative Suite on it, and just leave it on in a room and act like, just put some cat food by the keyboard and act like I don't want her touching it. And yeah, within 6 months she'll have figured it out. All right, I appreciate you tuning in to the MEC podcast. Things have changed at MEC. So if you're looking for a more hands-on experience, join Excellence Academy through Erinn. And for the live beat making show that you can submit up to 3 loops to every single week, that goes down on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's on beatstars.live. And if you want to submit loops to that, just check out beatstars.world and click on opportunities and scroll down to looped in. You'll see a picture of my big ass head, and that's how you submit. So do all that. Erinn, how do they join Excellence Academy?
You can go to the excellenceacademy.biz, or you can find me. I'm tagged all over the MEC page, and you can just click on the link in my bio.
Cool. So do all of the above. Yeah. Like, why is my phone? Okay, the cat must have done that. I don't know how a cat can turn the sound on an iPhone, but that chime is such an annoying sound to me. But she figured it out.
I hate it. My phone is always on vibrate because I hate that sound.
Well, she likes it somehow. All right.
Wait, do we need the number for the?
Oh yeah, the phone number. Okay, yeah. So text. If Erin's gonna give you the number. Text MEC to that number, because every time something crazy happens or I'm live, I will message you personally, but there's nothing stopping anyone else from messaging you. I know a lot of people want more information about Dame's new label situation.
Oh yeah.
If I'm being honest, I want more information on it too. I don't have much. So we'll have to talk about that in an upcoming episode if he's feeling like that.
We should interview him next episode, like bring questions.
We should not even tell him about it. Just what's today's topic?
You're getting interviewed about the BeatStars label. Facts.
All right, let's do it.
Text MEC to 844-206-7800. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys so much for listening to this. Share it with a friend. We'll talk soon.
Peace.